Let's do it.
All right, now we're live. Now we're recording. Welcome everyone to another episode of Hangout with Mentors. We show up every Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a different topic and discuss it, go round robin. It's always a valuable topic that's meant to be evergreen and provide that said value for not just our members in the Unstoppable Alliance, but their prospects that they're bringing so that they can demonstrate the value that we absolutely provide, not just on Hangout with Mentors, but throughout the week. So the purpose of this evening, you're not going to hear the business president. Joe, is it your turn yet?
I did that on my live.
I'm going to go have a nap.
I think Dr. B's trying to get on the panel. I don't know how to do that. So.
Okay, I'll pull you out as soon as I'm done my blabbering here, Dr. B. Anyway, no business presentation per se. Like, we'll talk about how the content relates to business, and tonight is not unlike any other night. It does directly relate to business. Compelling stories. What do we mean by compelling stories, and what does it have to do with business? Well, I wrote some content, and I'm just going to glance my eyes over here and read it because, as you can tell, there's no way that I'd be able to remember it. So here's a fact that we all are very aware of, I'm sure, right? Storytelling creates engagement and it builds relationships. So if we do that on purpose, like if our stories have an intention and if we learn the dynamics of how to make our stories compelling with that purpose and intention, can you imagine? Can you imagine what would be possible? It's actually kind of mind-blowing. And it all ties into the community. How did we create this community? How did it come to be? Well, it started with, well, of course, an idea. Everything starts with an idea. But then it started with storytelling and our awareness and memory of other stories. And then all of a sudden we started gathering. So the community was small at first, but it was a small group of people that believed. And all of those people did what? They started telling the compelling story. And that attracts more people. So hopefully I've kind of laid the stage or the groundwork for the value of this discussion and the importance of it. And how do we learn how to tell stories? Just like everything else, by practicing. I'll tell you a little short story of when I was a little girl. This lady told me more stories than I think anyone in my whole life. And so how I frequently came across this lady and I would go to her house and visit her was when I was traveling with my dad during the summer when there was no school, and he would be doing his water well drilling. So while the boys were digging a well and doing their thing, I would wander off. Whenever I wasn't around, they knew that I was at this lady's house. And to be honest, I can't remember what her name is. Maybe it'll come to me. Really, it doesn't matter. Adorable, sweet, older lady. I think sometimes she told me she was 82, sometimes she was 91, so she was forgetful. But she had one of those houses where the entire living room was filled with trinkets, and that's why I kept on going back, because I would touch a trinket and ask her about it, and that would lead to multiple stories. There was always stories after stories, and she felt a connection to me. And she really wanted to tell me these stories because the fellow that my dad and his business partners bought their water well drilling company from was a friend, an old friend of hers that she had known for years. So she considered me a part of her family, and it was her purpose to tell me these stories. Like, I needed to know these things, and I loved these stories. So it kept me interested. It kept me coming back. It made me feel like I was a part of her world. And that's what compelling stories do. So is anybody, Tammy, would you like to jump into that?
Okay, yikes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm always like, yikes, I got some notes wrote down, but you know how I am. Okay, so this is the thing. And I have to say, I did a live video. I was kind of like you, Susan, and I actually was stumbling over words. So you know what? This is the cool part about when you tell your story, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to have passion, you know. So I'm a very passionate person. So sometimes that comes through and people think, wow, you know. But anyway, so I'm going to just kind of give the angle of, well, how did all this kind of start? So in this industry, I'm going to kind of start from there. I would always tell my story on calls. And of course, you know, with these events and stuff like that, I'm more of a phone person. So 2 years ago when Susan said, hey, you know, actually it was another person said, would you like to get on a Hangout and kind of, you know, meet Susan? I'm like, well, who's Susan? I just thought it was cool. She had a lava lamp and things like that in the background. So I'm like, sure, I will jump on there. Well, it was probably another year in between, and we had kind of crossed paths and things like that. But then she'd asked me to come on to another Hangout to share my story. She's like, you know, people need to hear who is Tammy and to share your story. And so since I've done that, obviously now we have this amazing community. Susan and I have been working together for over a year and a half. And it's just actually what it's done is it's transformed me. And that's really kind of strange. But I was very, very shy. I did not want to get on video. I didn't even want to talk. It's actually made me to, you know, be conscious of what I look like, my appearance. So, you know, obviously my weight loss and everything like that, I really do, I do actually want to give credit to this whole thing, you know, so a community can actually bring you out of your shell. People like, you know, of course, Susan has brought me out of my shell, and now it's more comfortable for me to tell my story. So where I come from was I was actually in the finance industry, and what happened was it was a mortgage and the bank crashed in 2008. I actually had to change the date. And so I had to find something like this, a home-based business, so I could stay home with my kids because I didn't want to see them getting bullied at school anymore. That's my story. You know, I'm a very passionate wife and mother, and I just really wanted to stay home. You know, so simple methods of marketing and, of course, you know, lead generation, things like that. That's what's brought me here. And then that's how everybody keeps coming into this community in order to share their story. So that's kind of the angle I wanted to just let everybody know that, you know, that it's possible. Like Susan would say, that the possibilities are limitless. Those are the kinds of the words that she would use, you know, when we first met. And I'm like, what's she talking about? You know, like, okay, I understand possibilities. And so every single day, you know, we'd gather more and more what she calls shiny people. And so we keep gathering more and more shiny people. And it's just amazing to me to think now, you know, now we got 40 people watching. I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the thing is people want to talk with real people. And that's who we are. We're just real people, and we're here to help people out. That's what my passion is. And I love seeing the life-changing stories and hearing about them, you know. So on a day-to-day basis, this is why I get up. This is why I love what I do. So hopefully that's, you know, like I said, I've been so busy today, Susan, in the background. We're moving. I mean, I just got done, hauling a bunch of stuff to my mom. So, hey, you know, but I'm here. I made it. That's my story for today.
That was actually awesome, Tammy, and thank you. I'm going to use an example because the way you told your story is absolutely perfect. First of all, thank you for sharing it. And it's actually welcome. Perfect for some content, some actual.
Well, thank you for inviting me to that Hangout. I mean, you know, we have an anniversary every time that happens.
Yep.
So thank you.
It all starts somewhere, right?
Yep.
I saw you. That's what happened. So anyway, I want to give everybody that's watching something concrete. So get your pencils out. Do you have pencil? A paper? Pen? Get it out. Awesome. Here's 4 steps to a powerful story. And if you were listening to Tammy's story, she followed them. And I didn't give her these steps. She followed them. It's 4 simple steps to a powerful story. Number 1, who you were, where you were when you needed to make a change. So you had, where were you? You paint that picture of where you were and who you were. What was that? What did you need to change? What was your pain point? What was your issue, your problem? So background, number 1. What made you make the decision to make a change? What didn't you like about where you were? Step 2. Step 3, what was that solution to your problem? And step 4, wrap it up. Who are you now? How do you feel now that you found that solution? How could it relate to them? 4 steps to a powerful story. So thanks, Tam. That just fit right in there with something that I was hoping to share.
Well, you taught me that, so I have been paying attention to you.
Really?
Not only am I like powerful, but I'm, you know.
Okay, so who's next? Jason.
Yeah, it looked like you didn't want to call on me for a second. You were like, oh, no.
You told me not to.
I learned my lesson. I got to vote before Joe.
Well, Jason, I'm going to go get a sandwich. Well, okay. Jason, I'm going to go get a sandwich, okay? Because I know
You're good.
I got some turkey left over. You want a turkey sandwich?
Well, I'm going to do my best to follow the notes that I just wrote down on this storytelling about who I was and where I'm at, and kind of just tell my story of who I am and where I came from and where I'm at and what I see, moving forward. I mean, going back now 20 years. Okay, I was at the time 24 years old. I had my own company. I was actually what they call psychologically unemployable when I was 17. I had my first job. I worked in a Shoney's and a Popeyes for all of about 1 week each. And I decided at that point in time that I could not work for anyone else. I had to find something to do. And I actually went in and started working as a phone rep, okay, for collecting donations for firefighters and JCs and so forth. And then at 17 years old, or actually 21 years old, I opened up my own company, my own fundraising campaign. And, even though I was my own boss, okay, I had a phone room, but I really wasn't making that much money. I mean, I was making probably $500 to $1,000 a week is all. And I had met my wife. I was actually doing a fundraising campaign for the JCs. And the JCs happened to have singles night on the night that I went over just to pick up my paycheck, and my wife was there. They actually had me fill in as the bartender just while the guy ran out and did a couple errands. And I met my wife there, and we were talking and everything else. And we got to hit it off. And over the next couple weeks, we got to know each other. And I was dating her. And then I'm going to fast forward to, after dating for a while, here I wanted to marry this lady. I was going to ask this lady to marry me. And here I was, 24. Okay, now granted, I don't want to age her. She's quite a bit older than me. Don't want to get in trouble there. But she was making very good money. I mean, she is an occupational therapist. She makes good money. And here I'm sitting here thinking, here I'm 24 years old. I'm making $500 to $1,000 a week. Why on earth would this wonderful woman want to marry me? But so I was looking. I mean, I wanted a way to make more money. I mean, I remember when I was little, walking around, or driving around in the cars, looking at these big houses, wondering if I should go up and knock on people's doors to find out what they did for a living, because I really wanted to excel. I wanted to make more money. But back to, the story where I was at, I wanted to make more money. And I was introduced to the direct sales industry by a postcard that my father actually received in the mail. And he called the 800 number. He listened to it. He has no interest in, or no direct sales experience or anything like that. He's a nuclear engineer, actually, trainer. But he knew that I had an interest in that. So he gave me the phone number. I listened to it. And a guy named Richard Smith, Joe, you remember Richard Smith? He called me up the next day. And he asked me a few quick questions. And he sent me to a conference call. And at that time, guys, I didn't know. That was fun for me because I never even knew those party lines existed. A conference call with hundreds of people from around the country. And guess who was hosting that call? Well, yours truly. There he is, right there. Joe Need was hosting that call. And that was the call that I first listened to. And I was really intrigued by it. And Richard said, hey, you know what? Do you have a fax machine? And I'm like, what the heck is a fax machine? I didn't even know what a fax machine was.
People are asking that right now.
I know, so they've come and gone. But I didn't know at the time what a fax machine was. He goes, well, here, just take this phone number down to Kinko's and, ask for a fax. Tell him you want to pull up a fax on demand. So I took it to Kinko's and gave him the number, gave him $15, brought my 15 pages home, and I read it, and I was like, you know what, that's an interesting concept because all I was doing is reading what I had already heard on the telephone presentation. So I was like, that's a great, interesting concept. Now here's the kicker, and I want to get to. I had to go out on a limb, okay? What made me make the decision? I wanted to make more money. But here, this is what I had to do. Back then, it was $1,250, okay, to get a home study course called Gateway to Financial Freedom. And I literally I remember going to the store, getting 12 $100 bills and a $50 bill, wrapping it up in tinfoil, putting it into a birthday card, putting it into a manila envelope, sliding the manila envelope into a FedEx package, and I had to send that package, $1,250 cash, to a guy named Richard Smith in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay? I mean, that was going out on a limb for me. I remember driving to the store, to the Kinko's, and as I'm handing it to the lady, I kissed the envelope and sent it off. And lo and behold, that was my launch into the big ticket direct sales industry. And you know what, I've got to say, Richard Smith was probably the best mentor for me at that particular time in my life, because he really showed me the ropes and he showed me what to do. And actually, a little funnier thing is, I want to tell you that when he called me back, he said, Jason, can you picture yourself doing what I'm doing? And I'm like, what's that? And he goes, well, you advertise, you call people, you send them to a conference call, and you follow up with them. And I'm like, well, yeah, Richard, not only can I picture myself doing it, but I'm going to do it a hell of a lot better than you. That was when I was 24 years old, and I was a little cocky. But yeah, that was my step into the direct sales industry. And I went on, to make, I was 24 years old, going from $500 a week, to over $500,000 in my first 15 months with that company. That's where I met Joe in person. We have other people that are probably listening to this webinar or Zoom conference tonight that I go back with that far, and I'm showing them how we have evolved here as a community. And I know I've gotten way off track on my story. I'm not a very good storyteller, but the fact is that's what it took for me. I wanted to be able to show my new wife that I could provide and be able to have her stay home with me. That was my goal. That was my reasoning, is I wanted to be able to have my wife quit her job and be able to stay at home. Now, that did happen. She did quit. We did travel for a couple years, but then she got tired of being with me all the time at home, so she went back to work. And her being an occupational therapist, she has that desire and need to help other people, and she gets that sense of that as well. And I think that she just she wanted to be able to go back and do that, and that's what she still does to this day. So and what we do here with this UnStoppable Alliance is very similar. I mean, it's a matter of growing personally, growing business-wise, and helping other people achieve the success that they want. It's so much more than just making money. It's really about supporting one another. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I know that I could go on for a lot, because I know I'm sitting here thinking in my head, there's a whole lot there that I missed, and I don't want to go back to take up other people's time. So I'm going to go ahead and stop and turn it back.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Jason. Much respect. I love that piece of your story, and I could listen again and again, because there's a little different thread that you add every time. So I think that's only the third time I've heard it. So keep telling it, because it's super powerful, and it does completely relate with what we're doing today. So I'm going to point out some specific parts, if everybody will be okay with that. Well, actually, I have the mic, so it doesn't matter if you're okay. So you created a timeline of events that, as you're telling your story, and in between, before you got to your end point, or one of the key points, you said what that key point was. You were going to tell them what you said to him on the phone. You introduced it in the beginning, and then you wrapped it up at the end to kind of like the overall thing. You reached your goal, and you taught everyone in the audience a lesson by the chronological pieces of your story, so that they could relate to it. So it fits with all of this content that I was hoping to share tonight. So thank you. Plus, it fits with what you were talking about yesterday too, with right momentum.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh. Consistency, persistency, and you have to have your why. I mean, that's the number one thing, is you have to have your why. And my why was, I wanted to marry this beautiful lady that had no business marrying me. you know. And you know, another real quick add-on to that, because for those that may not have seen the thing, our next level was $6,500 to get involved at the seminar, and I didn't have that money, and I went to my wife, a very, very new wife of only about a month and a half, and I actually literally signed a promissory note with her, asking her to borrow me $5,000 so I could attend this event. And needless to say, I do, because I showed it. I remember now showing it. I still have the promissory note that we signed together. And I think that she has agreed that I've more than paid back the $5,000. So, and we're now going on 20 years of happy marriage. So we're coming up in January, 20 years. Awesome.
How cool is that?
It's very cool. Very
How cool is that? That speaks highly. That speaks highly. I am I'm going to let Brian in and Dr. B, but Ray, I have a question to ask you first. First of all, do you trust me? No.
Again, yes, I do. But not on heels when you're doing video. The only place I don't trust you.
No more panda rolls.
No.
As long as it's you and not me. Anyway, quick question. Did you have something specific that you were going to share tonight already in your mind?
Specific, no.
Okay.
But I'm getting a vibe right now of where I was going to go. So.
Okay, because this will be perfect. This will be perfect. So let me add them on here, and I'll share it. And if you want to go with that, then we will. Where is Dr.
What I was going to do, Susan? I was going to break out my book called The Three Little Bears and read it. That's what I was going to do.
Really? And
Yeah.
then you decided against it?
I was expecting somebody to, just tell stories. So I broke out my little, Three Little Bear story, and I didn't realize that this was the topic. So.
You told a chronological story similar to the Three Little Bears, but I think it's a little more powerful. Dr. B, your hand is down. Do you still want to come out? You can pop your hand back up if you do, but I don't want to pull you out if you don't want to come out anymore. Okay, so Ray, this was where I was going with this, because this is kind of what happened. So those 3 magic R's, which I would like everybody to write down, these 3 magic R's as well. Our intention always, always, always is to reach, resonate, and relate. And if we have those 3 powerful words, again, the power of 3, right? If we have those 3 powerful words, we're going to set an intention to reach, hopefully the right people, our target audience, but we want to reach people. We want to relate with them, and we want to resonate with them. It's really about them. And if they feel that our story and our conversation is about them, then that's going to be really powerful. So here's where I'm going with this, Ray, is when we paint the emotion, hope, passion, desire, whatever it is, we create the experience. This is starting to sound familiar, Ray? This is what we did in Chicago, right? And so what happened is you realized the part of the magic carpet that related to you, and you had your aha moment. So unplanned, that is actually what you decided to be a part of your story that brought the audience in during the live public part of our event. And it was crazy, amazing, powerful. We're talking 100% conversions, right? That day.
Right.
So would you like to tell how that because that just flowed authentically and organically, and it was really great. Would you like to talk about that? Sure. That's a really powerful part of your story too.
Yes, true.
It's so amazing.
Basically, where I was in the past was I was able to start businesses, always had businesses. Since I was on an assembly line back in 2000, I always had a business going on part-time away from what I was doing full-time. And so passive income was always a reality for me, because that's what I sought. I knew I needed more. If you're in a job, you need more. So as I started my entrepreneurial skills going into, having passive income, working full time, and then kind of moving out of that because of situations with, shrinking the workforce, right? which caused me to launch out on my own, to really kind of get out there and have the faith to do that. But in my journey of doing that, there was times I get up and then I go down, up and down. And up and down, not so much in incomes, but in emotional, right? And which made me really shrink back to do big things. So what ended up happening was my last business that I shut down and I started working for someone else. I knew that was the final one. Now I made up my mind that I was going to work this out on my own, no matter what. And with the graces of my great wife, as Jason's great wife has come behind him, she was open to that. And she knew that's what made me happy anyway. So I did it, and I started, right? And through channels of people, of course, I met Susan, I met Tammy. And then from there, I started to really, talked about the vehicle that we're promoting and things like that. And then when Susan said, hey, you know what, I would really like to come down to Chicago, I thought, okay. And I didn't think it much of a big deal until Joe put it on the radio show. And I thought, wait a minute, that's a lot of coverage. That's like, so that really blew my mind, and that stretched me, right? Because I thought to myself, okay, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be, which was great because I got out of my comfort zone. And then when Susan brought over this magic carpet, when she first showed me, guys, it was blank stairs. And I think she probably remembers that stair. And she was like, well, I'll show it to you when I get there. And she rolled it up, but she brought it, and I started looking. Now, I had a little bit of business development, and I saw something that I recognized. And I thought, well, I know this area. And I said, man, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden, as I was staring at it, it kind of just morphed into, uh-oh, I see something. And what was really big was I knew that I can have a sustainable business no matter what president, or, really be bulletproof, right, in my business. So that fired me up. I mean, fired me up. And that week, there was many aha moments for a lot of people, which I am thankful for. But what really got me going was that I saw something that I really needed to see, that I know would ground me. We talked a lot about grounding, but would ground me and put me on a solid foundation so that I know wherever I am right now, I can create what I want in my life and do it successful and build off that success, off that success, off that success, because all I ever wanted to do was do well. I never wanted to be up and down. I never wanted to, hit walls or hit obstacles that, would cause me to think that I had to shut something down. So what that really gave me was the opportunity to be able to what they call cells of recognition. I don't expect you to understand that, but it just opens up your mind to be able to see better, right? More information that's relevant and pertinent to you in your life, kind of opens you up to be able to see longer. And that's what that did for me. So it was huge. It was very, very big. And I haven't stopped reeling from that since, because I knew that I wasn't going to let it go, and I was going to put it down and start working on it. That would cause me to have that longevity. So that's my story, Susan.
And what was that missing piece that everyone, excuse me, that everyone will relate to? That missing piece that you thought you knew exactly how to make goals happen and achieve your goals. You were achieving goals. It's not that you weren't succeeding. You were missing something that was a missing piece to create sustainable.
Yeah. It was focusing on myself and my own disciplines, as Jason had talked about in this week. Focusing on my own disciplines and doing those daily, and really being able to ground myself into knowing what the real work is. And the real work is working on you as you're moving forward doing the how-to. And it just elevates everything else you do.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, am I frozen?
Yes, you are.
Okay, did it come back? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Ray. Welcome, Brian and Dr. B. I see your hand up. Just click the button and welcome. Welcome, Dr. B. There, you're unmuted.
Okay, good. Hi, everyone.
Ah, we can hear you. Hello. Hello.
Susan, Tammy, Joe.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good.
Joe, I'm going to let a couple other people. Are you ready to speak now?
Who, me? Or,
Yeah.
how much time do I have? I'll yield the floor to some other people. I've got two things I want to talk about, so I'll defer.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm ready. I'm going to let Super T open the panel, and David. I think I got all the hands up. And then it's over to you, Joe, please. Welcome. Welcome, Super T. David, you don't have video? Can you hear us?
Hey. Yeah, I don't have video. Hey, David's on. Cool. Hey, Super T.
Hey, Tammy.
Hey, girl.
Testing, David, can you test your audio?
Heard
that.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm here, but I don't have video.
Okay. That is just fine.
Okay.
Okay. So welcome, and Joe is going to share some nuggets.
Okay, here's what I'm thinking about. You know, my own story is very, very simple. At a very early age, I found myself, I really had trouble existing inside of a box. You know, I learned very early on that you are either building your own dream or you're building somebody else's. You are either in free enterprise or you are working for someone who is. Those were like apparent things. Those things became apparent to me. So ever since I was a young kid, like when I had a paper route, I actually was subcontracting the delivery side of the paper route to my brother. You know, and that's really where I've come from. You know, when the whole thing for me to be in free enterprise was really about just having control and being responsible for my results. And my results have been a roller coaster, okay? It has been a roller coaster. I've had extraordinary highs and I have been lows that were like, I couldn't believe what was happening, but it was always a result of my own decisions. And you know, the beautiful thing about what we have here is you really can write your own paycheck. You know, my story is very similar to Jason's. You know, I was broke and I lost everything and my Lotus had been repoed. I had a beautiful girlfriend. She was over at my house. I went out to get coffee. I was going to get coffee, and where my car was nothing but, you know, where the moisture was, and the tow truck had pulled my Lotus because they repoed it. And there was, you know, I was getting evicted from my apartment. All of this catastrophic stuff was going on. Yeah. And I simply made a decision based on very similar to what happened to Jason. And so, you know, that story is a true story. And that story has served me well. And it is my own story. I probably, as a result of telling that story, I've generated millions and millions of dollars, not only for myself, but for other people. Because when you realize how powerful your own decision is and your willingness to make that stuff happen, it is really, really a very cool thing. You know, further on down the road, I went from being a seven-figure, literally a millionaire with a Ferrari and a Mercedes and a Maserati and a Bentley, all within the same couple of years. And the next thing you know, I was flat broke, physically debilitated, laying on an air mattress in an empty mansion because everything was gone. And then I had to go to the pawn shop because I knew that jobs weren't going to work. I knew that the only thing was to make a decision and to just go make it happen. And here with our Unstoppable Alliance, anyone can make it happen when you simply make the decision. When you simply make the decision. So my story is my story. What I'm going to recommend to everyone here is build your own story, and your story will serve you. the very beginning, when I was actually losing at the first time I had come from a traditional, I owned an insurance agency. I don't even go into all the gory details. But that story is a true story. I did borrow money. I had to borrow. Hello? Am I still on the air? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Whoever's falling off your bicycle, I hope you're wearing a helmet. You're riding a bike in total darkness. I hear you falling down. Okay, so but here's my point, Susan. My point is that story, which is a true story, and I had to borrow the money from a guy, and then I had to make a money order, an international money order, and I had to send it to a total stranger in Canada, Stefan Hedek, all right? And so I'm thinking, I'm broke. I don't have any money at all. None. Zero money. Zero. And I had $2,000 now. All of a sudden, I got $2,000 cash. I can pay my bills. I can get the rent. I can get the heat turned on. All of those things. I had the money in my hand to make it happen. Instead, I followed through on my decision to do something different. And I went and I got a money order and I sent it to another country, to a total stranger. And then I went like this. Oh my, what did I just do? Well, what I did, that was the greatest decision I ever made, man, because it put me on the journey of really taking personal responsibility. But the thing I really would say to everybody here is to build your own story based on your real experience. I believe, Susan, that every single person who steps into our arena, our alliance, has a story that resonates with someone out there. In the power of three we talk about, right? You're flush when you have 3 people join you on the team. But because of the power of the internet and things like we have right here, every single story matters. Every single story counts, every single one. But you have to come from a point of real passion and really coming from your heart. Okay, what really is making a difference? And I can go on and on about this, but there is one more thing that I want to say, and maybe at the end I can elaborate on this, because here's what I think. The most important story of all is the story that you tell yourself. That is the story that counts. I have right here, this is like one of my favorite books. It's called The 4 Agreements. And these are the 4 agreements, okay? The 4 agreements, this will change your life. The 4 agreements will change your life. I promise you. It is the simplest, it's 4 agreements, 4 simple things. And the first of the 4 agreements, be impeccable with your word. And it seems obvious, right? Oh, of course, don't tell lies, tell the truth. No, what it really means is the self-talk. Who are you really? Who are you really? And that's where your story comes from. And that's the story that you share. Me, I am a free spirit. I am a big thinker. I am open. I am a channel, right? That's my story. And I am willing to go out on the limb because God put the fruit out there. And the limb is wobbly, right? And so your story, your willingness to absolutely commit to your dream, to do whatever it takes, no matter what it takes, for as long as it takes, that's your story. I have never yielded from my truth, okay? When I was subcontracting my paper route, I realized that I was going to be in free enterprise. And I realized that it was going to be a thunderstorm. It was going to be a roller coaster. It was going to be a hurricane. It isn't all roses and first-class airfare tickets and Maseratis in the garage. There are prices that you have to pay. And when you get down with that and you're willing to bring it, like you hear these guys on the radio, this brand new guy that you guys have in British Columbia, Dave, this is a guy who actually sold his boat. How about Jeffrey in New Jersey, a homeless man? So what's your excuse? When people say to me, well, I got to think about it. I got to check with my wife. It's like, really, dude? Really? We've got people here who were homeless, who only have passion and desire and commitment, and that story will resonate. That is the story that will resonate. And all of us, Susan, we all have a responsibility to each other to share that story, because every one of these stories matter. It's like it's a composite. Not one of us alone are going to be able to do this thing that we're doing, this Unstoppable Alliance. And every single story matters. But it has to be a true story. It has to be your story. And it has to come from your heart. Now, Susan, you can get very technical with this stuff. And, I know all about, I know how to code language, right? I can determine whether a guy is really about the Maseratis and the spotlight. And I can create a story based on my own truth. that it's going to really, really resonate with that guy. Or I know somebody who is only about the facts, man. Just give me the proof. And I can tell a story to that guy that's based on the facts, and I can give him the proof. So we can talk about the technical side of storytelling, and I know you do a great job on that. But at the end of the day, the story has to be your story, and it has to come from your heart. It has to be true, and it has to be something that you are willing to fight for. And I'll tell you this, what we do here, this isn't for everyone. You know, my friend Frederick, one time I said, Frederick, I can't believe this, man. I'm in Free Enterprise. I'm in the UnStoppable Alliance, and so many people are coming here, and anyone can do this. Like Jason said, right? I saw the same thing Jason saw. We generate a lead, we have a conversation, invite somebody, and then we collect their decision. That is it. That really is it. And one time I said to my friend Frederick, I go, man, anyone can do this. Why do so many people fail? Why do so many people not even see it? And he said, well, because most people won't do it, quite frankly. Most people are living some other reality. They find safety in the box, and they just want to have a job. And then there's a whole bunch of us out here who are willing to go out on the limb and because that's where the fruit is. And sometimes the limb breaks, but you still shimmy back up the tree and go out on the. So my point is that we have a really, really cool thing here. Our group, our alliance, is an extraordinary group of people, and there are many, many, many out there like us looking for a home. And it's really cool right now because the power of platforms like this in the radio shows and the internet and all the viral stuff, you know, the stuff that you're working on, Susan and Tammy and Jason, some things that are going to make this just like on turbocharge, man. I'm talking like jet fuel is right now being brought into the scene. But we still have to be authentic. We still have to tell our stories. And I could go on and on. You know me, but I'll yield to my friend from somewhere else. As you can see, I told you at the beginning, I've been thinking about this today.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I can tell. And thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Very awesome points there. And again, I'm going to go back so that everybody has some steps to write down. And it's not to take away from the passion part of it. I totally agree with you, Joe, and that was a really good point. It has to be your story, and it has to come from the heart. If you haven't used these steps and keys as an outline to encourage you to do that, but it has to be your story. It has to be your story. And they're just 9 simple keys. So know your audience, and Joe actually touched on every single one of these in what he said. So he said, know your audience. If you're talking to somebody technical, focus more on that part of your story, right? So know your audience, create an emotion, resonate and relate with them. There's those magic R's again, in simple terms, make them care. So you want to pull them into your story. Set the scene, paint the picture. I know that sounds obvious, but if you're trying to, if all you're thinking about is, well, how do I tell my story? Then just put that in your outline, set the scene. You're just painting a picture, like a story that you would tell your next door neighbor. That's what you're doing. Pull out your story. Be creative with there's my pronunciation again. You know what I'm saying? Somebody say it for me.
Chronology.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. A doctor would know.
Yeah.
A doctor would
Chronology.
Know your punchline, your intention. So it doesn't matter if you don't follow any other steps, or if you don't have any other line, please do this. Have an intention to your story. Lead them somewhere. They'll feel it and they'll follow you. And this is how you would close them. So it's not, you don't have to be a salesperson. You don't have to be a hard closer. Lead them with story. Have an intention and they'll come, right? Engage your audience. Well, that's what we all do with stories. Use tension, emotion, be expressive, impact. You want to impact them, right? And enjoy the process. Don't make it all technical. Just look at those as a reference.
I'm having fun.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian, thanks for coming out tonight. What would you like to share on compelling stories?
Thank you for having me on. I'm really just getting, like I was on the radio show this morning telling Joe, I'm just getting refueled again. and all of these meetings refuel you. And my story goes back to when I was in my last days of college. My brothers came to me and said, "Hey, look, we're going to start a business. You want to get involved with us? We're going to make a lot of money." Well, I said yes to that. And as some of us here know, going into business for yourself is kind of like the ultimate dream, right? But we don't know the sacrifice and all the wherewithal that comes along with it. Especially, you're a family-owned business. You're not a large corporation. You're a family-owned business, and now you have family members to contend with. We went through all of that to find out where our first business failed. One of the business partners had to fall out because we weren't earning enough money. Second of all, when we moved into our new business and turned it into a 7-figure a year business, we had great success, okay? But we didn't have anything like a community like this to go to learn from, or to be refueled and to be energized with wisdom and knowledge and anything like this. It was kind of, the school of hard knocks. You know what I mean? Hey, look out for that pothole over there. Oh, I fell in it already. And potholes are spending X amount of dollars of maybe your advertising budget, or buying supplies or inventory that just never sells. And you get it to a point where you don't know things. And I'll jump back to this community. This community gives you the opportunity to save so many steps, save so much heartache, save so much grief, to be able to build you up. And plus, it refuels you. Being in your own business, your own brick and mortar business, and I really connect with those people that go into business, because, like Tammy, I look at you, how many businesses have we all gone into that didn't have good success? You go into restaurant business, and a lot of those men and women that go into restaurant businesses, they work hard. It's hard work, and they fail, and it's sad. And they're at an age where they're in their late 40s, 50s. Where do they go to get a job? And the thing about it is, where do you go to make earn a good living, okay, and to respect yourself, and to be able to have answers for other people, because ultimately you do want to help people. And you know what? I found that here, and it's really great. So I moved from those businesses to this place here that's become a home, become a family, where I can look at people and know that they're going to give me an honest answer to my question, not wanting me to get tripped up or not wanting me to stumble, because we're competition. We're not competition. We're a family. We're friends. And that's what I'm so excited about being here. And that's part of my story. And my story is still growing, because I'm still growing. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And I look at everybody on the screen, and you know what? I want to get to know everyone better. And if I can bring that to others, when I just talked to a businessman today on the phone, and I said, I've got something special for you. I have people with answers, people that care, people that are looking out for our best interests. And that's the things I've learned. I mean, when I went to Chicago to visit with you, Susan, in your magic carpet, like Ray, I stood there and I looked, I go, what's that? Or where do I start? And I had to walk away from it for a while until I started dealing with something in my mind personally. And I literally sat a chair down in front of that roadmap, and I stared at it until I found exactly what I was stumbling over. And I said, that's it. That's my issue. And we all have issues in life. And people that are looking to be in business for themselves, and if you go out there and start a brick and mortar business or whatever you have, if you don't have an alliance of people around you, a consortium of people that care about you, ultimately you're going to fail, because you don't. That's why we see so many people going to internet marketing. They fail. Oh, I tried that, I failed. I tried that, I failed. Why? Well, you had nowhere to go to. I had no support. And here we do. And I'm so blessed to be here. So I hope I did your 3 R's.
Yes, you absolutely did. Okay. Those R's are magic. It is. It's magic, but it's really not magic, right?
It's magic, all right.
Relate,
I just
resonate.
want to say I'm moved. I'd have to come out and say I'm truly moved by your story, Brian. I really am.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's again, it's a whole lot more about than making money. It is. It's about the community, and I've almost got a tear in my eye because this is 2 years now. Just what's happened, and I guess I could go on and tell more stories, but I'm not going to.
And Joe, you know what? When I had the Mercedes, I remember one day I bought a brand new Mercedes, an 89 Mercedes. I drove it to the BP car wash. You know those really cruddy car washes? I was driving it in. The kid looked at me. He said, "You want to bring that car in there?" I said, "Yeah, who cares? It's going to rust away anyway." And so, I mean, that was me with, it didn't matter. And you get some of these, Ray, you remember that car. And some of these people, you know, they turn their material things and their material wealth into their idols. Okay. And you know, oh, that's my car. Hey, that thing's going to rust away in a few years anyway. You know what? And plus I got 7 years of payments on it. That's, you know what, whatever. Okay. I said, who cares? And, you know, I got away from all of that stuff. And, you know, it really doesn't mean anything. My thing here is to bring people to a believing that they're going to have great success here in their own business. And that means so much to me because you see so many people fail and you really want, you know, for me, my heart is to help people. I've always wanted to see people succeed. And you know what? You can't twist their arm and drag them along, but you could bring them to the well and let them drink. And this is the well. So.
And I got to say, Brian, you know, since I met you in this forum, we've never met in person. I personally have seen you just travel such a great distance, okay? Just in the way you speak and the power of your words, but most importantly, your passion and your belief. It really comes through, man. And this is going to make such a huge difference in your enterprise because, like you said, people with answers, people who care. This is like really powerful stuff. And your story, because you're not just, it's not lip service. I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you.
It's my story.
And dude, I got news for you. And this isn't news, but I'm going to tell you that your business is exploding right now, whether you know it or not. It's like I can feel the earth rumbling because of your truth. Because you're right, man. It isn't about the Mercedes and the Maseratis and the Bentleys and there's so much of that. Can I say crap? We're an adult crowd, right? Yeah. There's so much of that crap on the internet, right? You see that all the time, man. And it's like I think, you know, there's an element who gravitate towards that, and that's okay. But I think that the real marketplace for us, and like Jason here, Jason's a big boy. When I see him get verklempt, I know something is up, man, because this is a tough dude. And he's getting like, he actually gets teary-eyed all the time because of what we see, what I see, and what you see, okay? And so that's why this is like, this is a mission-driven, unstoppable alliance at its core.
That's right.
It really is, Brian, and you represent that so well, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
I see it.
Thanks. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm rendered speechless. So Dr. B, will you speak, please? I have nothing to say.
Wow. Incredible. What I've heard so far has just been mind-blowing. I'm kind of choked up myself. But when I started down this path, I was involved in multi-level marketing with certain companies, you all probably know. And I was so enthused about it that at that time, what I did was, when I met my wife, I sponsored her in the business with me. And she became my partner, part of my group. She went to meetings with me. We spent nights on the road and drinking stale coffee and eating, you know, cold meals. But when I saw the Unstoppable Alliance and the business plan, when I met Jason and Tammy and Susan, and it's a different perspective now. The difference between competition and cooperation, creativity, as it says in the Science of Getting Rich. Traditionally, when you start a business, you compete with, you know, people around you that are in the same business. But in this business, in the alliance, we're cooperating, we're working together, and it's a different feel. It's great. I see myself going a lot further. The main thing that I'm working on right now is growing myself, working on myself, who I am. Every day I get up, I see a different layer that's gone off of me that I have to, work on in terms of structuring properly so that I'm presenting the good image to the people I'm seeing. And what I like to do and what I'm doing is giving people my heart, because with this business, I know it can help people. People talk about things that are bothering them, and I think immediately about this business, and I try to introduce them, or I do introduce them to our system, to our website. And some go and some don't, but you can't twist someone's arm to come there. You just have to deal with them the way they are. Susan, you've been terrific. Tammy, you're terrific. Jason's terrific. Joe, every morning I'm thinking coffee. It's great. It's great. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to more. So, thanks. There's more. The story's coming. There'll be more later on. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Super team. Tony, would you like to share what you have to say about compelling stories and tonight what we're talking about?
Sure. Well, I've been listening to everyone's story and how you take to put things together. So I'm going to start with the basics of who I was and, where I started. And I'm a baby boomer, so my story starts like 20 years ago. And it actually starts me working my way in the corporate world. That was what you did. I was, a single mom, have a, young daughter, and you just got out there and you worked. I went to a training program, and after that, learned how to type, and I hate typing. I'm just not that kind of person, but you do the things that you have to do to get, where you have to be. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. And I fell into the corporate job. I went through a training program and they sent us on interviews, and I actually tagged along with someone else who was scheduled for that interview. She asked me to go with her, and I went, and, she hated the job, and I had a young daughter and I needed the job. So I took it. It was almost, it's like nothing I really wanted, but hey, we do what we had to do. And I was, young enough to figure out that I could do anything at that time. I won't last forever. I'll be doing something else soon. 20 years later, scraping and scrumping and, just figuring out that was the way it was supposed to be, because you have to survive. You have to keep your family going. But I always had a thought that it was something else I wanted to do. I always wanted to be, my own business, but didn't know how, and just didn't fit in. I was a night stalker, and that means I work third shift, and that's totally different from a lot of other shifts, and that took me away from my family, my why for doing that weirdness. I didn't get to enjoy lots of family, holidays and time. I had to leave from the parties early, and that was a sacrifice I did for 20 years. And I did that, and I got sick. I sacrificed and got so stressed out, I collapsed. And I had to go on disability, and it was devastating being at my age, and I was an active person, and that really surprised me. So dealing with that, I was like, okay. And during that time, that place that I sacrificed for 20 years released me, let me go in the midst of that turmoil. So I was a flailing ship out at sea, not knowing what was going to happen. And frankly, I was terrified. Oh, I didn't quite know what to do. And I wasn't even happy at that place. But it's like, well, what do you do? I'm not happy there, but where else do I go? And I should maybe want to go back there. And then a friend of mine, hey, Ray, he told me about this. And I'm like, okay. So just by the grace of God and on faith, I had no other way, nothing else to do I cashed in my 401. I don't know about some people, but that was it. That was the move for me. And I made that choice to jump in here. And I have not regretted it. It has been eye-opening, an experience that I have never had in the 20 years of work in the corporate world. And don't get me wrong, I didn't make pennies. I was paid well for 20 years. I worked hard and I worked up there, but I wasn't happy. And it didn't mean a hill of beans to them. They let me go. So now that I've joined the UnStoppable Alliance, I have a new outlook. Things are quite different. And I've realized that there is no need for fear. I have the ability to design my own life. The people here have given me the encouragement to step out there and do that. And so I'm not worried about, like Ray said, about any election, or I know that, I will not be employed by someone else again. No matter what happens, like Joe said, if that branch falls and, and I have to climb right back up that tree, I will, because that is what I know to be my future. And the only way to live it the way that I want to. So, they can do whatever they want. They can kick me off a third shift, but they can't stop the girl from shifting her life all the time. So that's it. That's where I'm at.
That
Great.
is a powerful closing to an amazing story. Thank you.
That was awesome. Super T.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Does anyone have anything to add, or are we ready for Joe to wrap it up?
I just have to add something that each time, I have to just say it again. To think that it was just one little knock on my Facebook window one day. And now we are here, Susan. It just blows my mind. So thanks for being persistent, and thank everybody. I'm just blown away at these stories. You guys are amazing. Like I said, I can't sleep lately. I just can't. And now I'm going to have to go take another 5-mile run, Susan, because this is like, I just had to add that. I'm just really super proud of everybody. You know what I mean? I just am. And Super T, and oh my gosh, everybody's story tonight, it inspires me. That's what it does. You know what I'm saying? So.
Absolutely.
Add, Susan.
I have been known to be persistent.
Yes, she is.
Well, I want something.
Yeah, and I won't say anything else because I get in trouble. But
yes, you will. Sit down. No.
Yeah, sit down, Pam.
Bossy pants.
Hey, he unmuted. There's the 20.
He unmuted just long enough to say bossy pants?
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, over to Joe. Don't you have something to say, Joe?
I can always figure. I want to thank everybody who joined us here this evening, whether you're watching this live or maybe you're watching a replay of the Hangout with Mentors. We do come here every single Wednesday night. Make a point of getting here. If you're interested in finding out more about our UnStoppable Alliance, I'm going to ask you to get back with the person who invited you here. You can always check us out on Facebook. But what I really want to say here is that, what this represents is something unique, something really, really different. These are people who really, really care, and people who really, really give. And if you look across the spectrum here, we have heard from people from all walks of life, different stations of life, parts of the country, different life experience. But there's one common thing that's going on here. There is a theme, and it has to do with heart and passion and possibilities. Every single person who is here, I'm going down the list here. I want to thank you, Brian, Dr. B, Jason. Thank you so much, Jason, for staying on me. Jason's like a cheese grater, man, just staying on me for years to join him in the UnStoppable Alliance. Jason, you're my brother. And Ray, of course. I just met all of you guys. Super T, I can't believe that you're someone's mother. You're so young. You look so young. Your spirit is so young. Are you kidding me? And Tammy, I saw today, I saw a yesteryear, I saw some images of you today. I was like, that's not even the same person. So much transformation has taken place here. And it really is, it's a movement. At the risk of sounding like some hippie. This really is something special. It is different. It is unique. And I dare say that the world is waiting. You know, you didn't hear much here tonight about the compensation plan, but we do have a business model here that you can live a life of total, absolute sustainability, and you can make your financial dreams come true here. And you get to do it in this environment with these people who really care. So, you know, just take a close look, be authentic, and come and join the party, man. We're having a blast here. And you know, this thing I just mentioned, I'll talk more about this in the future, about these 4 agreements. You know, I urge everybody to get these 4 agreements. And the first of the 4 agreement is to be impeccable with your word. So when you're by yourself, you know, those late night, you know, when it's just you, right before you fall asleep, it's just you. Make sure that you're telling yourself the good stuff. Make sure you're filling your spirit with possibilities. And then come out here, man, and let's just do this, okay? Susan, what would we do without you? Unbelievable.
Oh, you would just carry on.
No, someone's got to be bossy pants. Someone's got to.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I honestly am very moved tonight, and I usually have some sort of closing as well. But I don't. I'm just speechless and grateful. It's been quite a day. So thank you, everyone. The
Everybody.
Will be available soon. Night.
Good night.
Good night, Susan. Thank you.
Good night, guys. Thank you.